Hiya, this is Arjun from Mystic Alankar. In today's video, I will show you how to make a simple trap beat. Before we begin, I'll just play a small snippet of the beat. In this kind of production, especially if you're making a beat for an artist to sing or rap on, you want to make sure that you leave enough room for the vocals. So in terms of layering, you just want to have the drums, 808 bass, and a few melodic elements which won't interfere with the vocals. So let's look at the drums first. To keep things simple, we just have a kick, snare, and some hi-hats. The kick is a trap kick, and the pattern is quite simple. If you hear the kick and snare together, it's like this. So in all these kind of productions, you want to make sure that you have a pattern which is easy to recognize and groovy, and then you like to throw in some extra kicks or some extra snares, mostly extra kicks, wherever you have a transition or whenever you want to show a variation. Like for example, if you're leading into another section, you could have a kick roll kind of, or you could have a hi-hat roll, something to keep it interesting. So if you see the hi-hats on their own, they're like, we have rolls over here. I just play it again. In trap music especially, these kind of rolls are very common. Without hi-hats, the drums would sound slower, even though they're at the same tempo. Let's play the drums with the hi-hats and without the hi-hats. This is with the hi-hats. And this is without the hi-hats. So it sounds as if the hi-hats gives it more speed or more energy. And then when you add the bass, it adds even more bounce. It's also common to have 808 slides, similar to the one that you just heard, and also notes going up and down, like the octave changing or big jumps in notes, because on those jumps, the 808 is more noticeable in the higher end of the spectrum, and when it's on the low, it's more noticeable in terms of the feel of the vibration. So you can hear it, it sounds like this. For doing these kind of slides, every DAW has a different way of doing it. In this, since we've used SubLab by Future Audio Works, this is like a sampler and a synth together. So in this, you have this feature, a glide feature, and you can set the time, how long you want the glide to be. And you can even set the curve, what kind of glide you want it to be. And then accordingly, it makes that kind of a glide whenever you have notes together. So that's a pretty cool feature. In case you don't have SubLab, you can always take an 808 sample and drag and drop it into your sampler. Or you could even synthesize an 808 in a synth like Serum or Anna 2 or any other synth. Whenever you're making an 808 pattern, you just have to make sure it fits well with the drum pattern, with the kick and the snare and the hi-hats, so that the bounce comes in the groove and everyone is happy. Now we look at what's happening in the melodic elements, the synths. This is Omnisphere, and it's just playing chords. So it's just two chords. When you're working on tracks like this, you don't need to have a lot going on in the melody, but you need to have something simple, which is repetitive, and it doesn't attract too much attention, so that once the audience hears it, they get used to it quickly and start focusing on the lead vocals or whatever is the top line. We also have this, which is from Alchemy. Again, the same two chords, but a different texture. So that's this preset called Crystals and Voices, which sounds pretty good on its own. And then you have the piano. You can hear a lot of reverb tails on the piano. That's coming from this Valhalla Shimmer. This is another great plugin if you want to add spatial ambiances and these kind of long tails to your sounds. This gives it a more atmospheric kind of vibe. So if you look at all the melody layers together, all the synths together, it sounds like this. The vibe, what people feel, comes mostly from these things. Once you've established the foundation of the track by adding all these layers, the next thing is to work on the arrangement. And in the arrangement, the easiest way of creating contrast from one section to another is by muting elements. Like, for example, in this section, before you introduce the whole drum kit, you can have a section which has no kick, no snare, just has the hi-hats and the melody layers, something like this. And just before you get into another section, you can have a kick roll like this one. So in context, it sounds like this as you get into the next section. So that's it. That's how you make a simple trap beat. And of course, to make it more interesting, you could do many things. Like you could add more transitions, you could have more variations in the kick or the snare patterns. You could have more hi-hat rolls, different kinds of hi-hat rolls with some pitch bends and stuff. You could have more slides on the 808s. You could have varying patterns of the 808s. You could do so many things. Hope you found this video useful. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell icon for more music production tutorials. You can also check out our website. The link is in the description. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.